Welcome to week 7. I'm assuming that everyone has already checked their grades from last week, and if you have not, please go do so. And you're going to be pleasantly surprised when you see that Cengage did not allow me access to see the quizzes that you did, so everyone got full credit on the quizzes for last week. So for every quiz that you had last week, and you had 3, which were worth a total of 75 points, everyone in the class got the full 75 points. So that should be a really good boon for you guys here as we're wrapping up and we're in the last 2 weeks of the course. Everything ends in this class next Friday because Friday of week 8 is the end of the bye term. So here we are wrapping it up, and all that you all have left are 2 writing assignments. For week 7, I took out this Cengage material because I'm not a fan and it didn't work for us last week. So what we're going to do is focusing on the writing elements. Week 7 is talking about how to write a legal memorandum. I've got some videos in here and a PowerPoint on the textbook. This is an incredibly important part of legal writing. This may well be the largest component of legal writing for anyone working in a firm or in a corporate setting as an attorney. When I worked in a corporation, legal memorandum were something that we had on a weekly basis. When I worked in the governor's office, that was something that we did on a weekly basis. And now that I am in the administrative office of the courts, legal memoranda are something that we write on a daily basis. I can write 5 or 6 in a day if they're small issues. And sometimes if it is a larger issue, it can take a week for me to write 1 memo, which was something that blew my mind when I first started this job. Because the format of a legal memorandum is something that we think in the outside of the legal world as a short document that's just getting information very quickly disseminated to someone. However, when you're doing a legal memorandum, you're analyzing the issues, and it is much more of a formal paper. And it will use the IRAC method where you go in and you find what your issue is. Then you research the issue to find the rule of law that applies. Then you take the facts from the case that you're working on or the issue in front of you and apply the rule of law to the specific facts in your case. And then you write a conclusion. So IRAC is actually a very simple process once you become familiar with it, and it is what we use in the legal field for 90% of our writing. Sometimes you flip-flop it depending on the field you're working in. You'll put the conclusion first because that's easier in some worlds and that's what they're used to doing. But the elements are always the same. In legal writing, you always need to find that issue. You have to apply the right rule. You have to analyze, showing why that is the rule for the case that you're working on, and develop a conclusion. There are 2 videos here showing you how to do that. The second one has some of the changes to the paralegal exam that are there. I put that in there for those of you who are planning on being a paralegal. It shows you really great example of how to do this. And for this week, you're going to be drafting a legal memorandum. So what I want you to do are take the elements of a memo that you have found in this week's reading, in the videos for this week, and go back to what we learned in the first few weeks of the class on how to conduct research. You are going to pretend that you are working for a law firm, that you have an issue revolving around a contract, and what your attorney for whom you're working wants you to find out. What are the elements of a contract that are required in Kentucky? Does the document that the client brought us meet those elements? So you're going to pretend that you've got a contract that has been brought to you by a client. Does not really matter what is in the contract for this assignment, because what you're really supposed to find out are what are the elements of a contract in Kentucky. You're going to look for a case that is on point that shows what contract elements are. You're going to find any kind of statute. You're going to go to the legal dictionary to get a definition of the term. You can use your textbook. All of these sources are available to you. So you can use the free online sources like FindLaw would be a good source, or any of the other tools that you have used in this course. Don't go to a law firm's website and cite that. Don't do a Google search for what are the elements of a contract. You need to make sure that your source is something that is used in the legal field, that is a legal document. One of the things that we covered in the first part of the course. If you have any questions while you're working on this, feel free to email me and I'll be happy to help you with that. I put down at the end of this what the grading information is going to be. I want to make sure that you are correctly listing the elements of a contract in Kentucky, that you have clearly organized your writing, that it is logical, that you're saying the elements of a contract are, this is what needs to be shown, this is how it is done. Then 10 points are going to be based on where you went to get your research and that you're able to identify primary sources and secondary sources. If you've got any questions, don't hesitate to email me. Have a great week.